Hi folks, and in this video what we're going to do is we're going to look at using the touch settings on the mobile pad with our character to get them to move around, and then we're going to look into some input mapping components and input actions as well. So what we're going to do first of all is go to edit, then project settings, and then in the search bar at the top we're going to search for the word touch. Now what you'll notice is there's quite a few different elements already there for different devices, but specifically what we're going to look at is always show touch interface and then use touch for mouse, so our mouse cursor can interact with this. Now you'll notice there's the default touch interface at the moment, which is the virtual joysticks. What we can do is, I'll just set that to left only to start off with, is we'll use this later on when we add our own custom interface as well. So if we then press play, you'll notice we then have this custom joystick in action. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start adding some custom mapping to our player character to get this to work. So first off, we've got a folder here called input action, and I'm going to create two different input actions. Now, where are they stored? Trying to remember. Under inputs, are they? There you go. And we're going to go with IA for input action, then move up and down like so. Now what this is going to be is we're going to change this value type to that of an access 1D, and we're going to do the same for input action. So we go to input action, AA underscore move right and left. There we go. And we're going to just set that to access 1D as well. So now we've got our input actions, we need to create the input mapping component. What we're going to do there is go to input again and IMC, input mapping component, by IMC, and this will be underscore player movement. Could actually be player interaction as well. We'll think about that later on. Maybe we should just call this player. Now we'll call it player movement for now. I'm happy with player movement. Right. So what we're now going to do is we're going to set up the bindings of the actual character themselves. So first of all, we're going to go add mapping, just like so. And it says none at the moment, but what we want it to do is IA move up and down. And then we'll just expand that out. So what we're actually going to want to use here is the gamepad left Y axis. It is this one just here. And then what we're going to want to do is extend this, add a modifier to it, and that modifier is going to be something called the dead zone. Basically, what the dead zone will do would be give us a input range that we can use within this object. So basically, the idea is going to be we're going to press the button and it's not going to go just flying off screen. This is going to let us control part of the movement. And we can tweak and play around with that later on. Right, and currently it's set up to 2 to 1. Yeah, I'm happy with that for now. We're then going to add the input mapping component or input actor for right and left as well, and we're going to do this exactly the same. So this is going to be gamepad, and this time it's going to be x-axis, because of course that's the axis we're going to want this character to move on. And we're going to then want to set up a dead zone again, and the dead zone is going to be set to 2 to 1. Cool, that looks all good to me. Now let's go on to our player character, and what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add the input mapping component onto this. So first of all, after event begin play, in fact we'll just delete the other two. I doubt we're going to use that in this project. We're then going to get player controller. We're going to use the subsystem of enhanced input or local player subsystem, just like so. And then we're going to add mapping context like so. Now we'll just connect that up to the in-play. Ooh, don't miss. There you go. And we'll just then set that to this IMC here. Right. So now we have an IMC set up for our character. We're going to then have to set up the actual movements, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to type IA underscore move up and down to start off with. And we're going to set this to a action value on that 1D setting to a move input. And we're going to do that by dragging it here and go add movement input, like so. And of course, this is the A, so this is the Y axis. So we want value in Y to change by 1 and the scale amount by 1, like so. And then we'll just do the same for right and left as well. Just duplicate this by clicking on it and pressing Ctrl and D. Drag this into the triggered, drag the action value into the scalar, and then we change the world direction to 1 in the X and 0 in the Y, just like so, and press compile. Now, what should happen is we should launch in, and we should be able to move our character. But of course, our world is a bit small, so our player went flying off of that straight away. So we'll just click on this, we'll set the world scale up to be 20 by 20 on X and Y. And then, if you notice, there you go, we're now moving up and down like so. Now, you can't really tell that, I'm very aware. So, what we'll do is we'll just add in some shapes in the background to showcase where we're moving to and from. So, you notice then the shadow of that shape, that's moving down. Oh no! Our Y is going up and down the wrong way round. So what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have a look at this. What we could do is one of two ways. We could put that into a negative value, like so. That works that way. Or we could actually just rotate the character so X and Y are going in the right direction for the player. For this use case, unless it breaks something later on considerably badly, what I'll do is I'll just leave it at that. Because I think that makes the most sense at this moment in time. So that is something we could always do. We could have always got that to reverse its hinge as well. Right, so there you go, folks. That is setting up IMC and getting player movement to work with the lovely touchpad just here. In the next video, we'll create actual custom buttons and custom touchpad as well. Thanks for watching.